Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the show. Hack Hunter coming at you, episode 2. Stick around. This episode we're going to be checking out Denver, Colorado, artists in Boise, Idaho, and even Omaha, Nebraska. That's right, people get tattooed in Omaha, Nebraska. Some of you got tattooed, all them farmers, right? Stick around. Let's check them out. Case number 1 comes from Jamie in Littleton, Colorado. Jamie writes, "Dear Hack Hunter, I've been planning on getting a floral type sleeve started for a long time now, but the only tattoo artist that I know is a guy I went to high school with. He's been getting better over the last year, but I want your advice on if I should have him start my sleeve now or if there's a better artist around here that does flowers really well." It's a good question, Jamie. Let's check him out. Alright, Jamie, here's the guy that you're asking about. His name's Derek Medina. He is working at Clean Slate Tattoo and Body Piercing. You can check him out at cleanslatetattoo.com. Now, right off the bat, I saw a lot of his work, and a lot of it is single-piece stuff. I did not find sleeve compilations, back pieces, large leg sleeves, nothing like that to indicate that he has some experience with that. So right off the bat, I'd be a little bit weary, but I did find a lot of flowers to kind of showcase here. It looks like he's been tattooing at least, I want to say, 5 years, at least back to 2017 was as far back as I could find artwork. Here's one of his better flowers, light gray line work, pretty nice. I don't necessarily like the shape of the flower here, but his use of contrast is good. The darker leaves and the lighter, softer looking, more feminine rose here. Next up, I found this watercolor piece. He's one of these artists that, leaves the blood in there. I'm not sure why, man. Just wipe that down. Take pride in your work. Also, he really crops these pictures kind of funny. Zoom in, crop it nice, man. This'll make your clients know what you want them to focus on and look a lot cleaner, like you care, rather than you just took a picture with your iPhone real quick and then displayed it online. This tattoo right here, you get some really simple shading. He just went from, he just used like black or a medium dark and whipped out one shade right in the middle of each petal. A little bit lazy. The line work here also, these petals do not connect to the center, but these ones do. A little weird, again, I feel like it's just lazy. There's also some shaky lines in some of these points. Some of these are pointed out really nicely, but then some of them stand out as very shaky on the edge. Might just be because he's stronger on the left side than he is on the right side, it depends. Some artists are right-handed or left-handed, and they do better on one side than they do on the other. This one is a little rough to look at, and a lot of artists fall victim to this when they're doing roses. They kind of do this simple folding pattern when they're drawing it, and they turn out looking like cabbages, especially this middle one here. It's very cabbage-like. Careful, Derek, when you're doing these, take your time. Really go ask another artist after you design it. Ask them if it looks still like a rose, if it looks like the petals fold properly, all that. Some of this is a little bit weird how you chose to shade small folds here, but then you didn't shade a small fold here. Kind of weird, your choice of which ones to shade and which ones not. Usually keep it continuous throughout. If you're not going to shade the small petals, then don't shade the small petals all throughout. Not sure what's going on here either. I couldn't tell if that's photoshopped or if he intentionally just left the middle out. This was one of his better pieces that I liked. Yeah, this just looks really clean, really smooth. He used a nice sort of no line or very, very thin line technique. Either way, there's not a harsh black outer edge. This is smart, especially when you're tattooing females. They don't necessarily want heavy, bold black lines throughout their tattoo. They often want something that looks a little more feminine and delicate, and this is good. And this black here looks pretty good. You can tell on the edges here a little bit light. That's probably going to need touched up when it's done healing. But overall, it's not a bad piece. And then this. This was kind of rough. Very simple on the leaves. Yeah, just a simple line down the middle and then lines in the veins there, but inconsistent. Some of these lines just don't match or line up or continue. Some of them go farther towards the edge than the others, but overall the leaves don't look like they're folding or bending or waving in any way. He just used kind of a simple pattern throughout. It just shows that in his artwork he needs to take a little bit more time. I'm not sure why he left lines missing in here. This was obviously an artistic choice. There's supposed to be a line right here as well. This petal would wrap around there and you would see it there, but I think that's just a mistake. Maybe a stencil wore off and you didn't notice it, but also with the background, these weird little shading things, I think he could have put a little bit more time and effort into the design. This was one of his nicer ones. It's just this sort of American traditional or neo-traditional style, where, they're supposed to be simple. They're supposed to be a simplistic, clean-looking artwork. So, I'm not as huge of a fan of this, but especially when guys are in their first 5 years of tattooing, sometimes just doing simpler stuff like this overall is going to not only give you the time to practice and improve, but then, later on you'll be able to use those skills that you learned in developing other techniques. This was a good one to show his color blending, and it's a little rough here where, you know, the purple and the pink blend. You can see the clear line where the purple stops and the pink starts. Purple and pink blend together really nicely, and they're really easy to blend usually, so this is just a matter of taking his time. This is a difficult piece, though, for any artist where you're trying to blend, but you're trying to do it within these small little pieces here. It's difficult to do, especially without an outline. Mentioning outlines, though, an outline might have helped in this case because you can see how he kind of went outside the lines on some and the edge isn't really that crisp. This is what he does best, especially more of his recent work. American Traditional is what he does best. I'm not a fan of this piece because, again, you get a lot of kind of shaky lines and sort of iffy shading in there, but overall, this isn't, you know, compared to all of his work, this isn't that bad. This one, however, again, with the roses, that's what you're asking about, Jamie, and overall I'm seeing very, very simply done roses. Not much time or effort put into the designing, and when you want an artist to do a sleeve on you, that's what you want. The face here, this also is not his forte, doing faces. I don't know if he was done or if they just stopped for the day, because this looks half done to me. It doesn't look complete. The eyes aren't complete. There's no shading in a lot of parts of it here, but he just uses this simple sort of black or medium tone gray, and he just whips out each petal just a little bit. There's not much in the way of like sculpting or texturing or anything like that, so a very simplistic outcome. Derek, I don't want to tear you down. You're still probably in your first 5 years of work, so in terms of tattoo artists, that's very, very young, so I don't want to discourage you too much. I'm just going to say keep learning, man. I think you're doing a good job. I can see over time his work's developing, but as of right now, I don't think he should be tackling sleeves. I think he should still work with other artists and do a lot more research, but from what I'm seeing here, he would not be the best artist for a floral sleeve. Stick around, Jamie. I'll tell you who I think you should check out. I want to take a moment to talk to the new tattooers out there, the young, up-and-coming tattoo artists. If you're just starting out in the industry, if your work isn't perfect yet, you're still practicing on friends, don't worry, Hack Hunter's here to get your back. We're not going to be tearing down young artists that are just learning. We all got to start somewhere. And I, of all people, definitely understand that, so if I recognize that you're just starting out in the industry, I'm not going to be showcasing you on the show and tearing you down. Keep up the good work, put yourself around some of the best artists that you can, learn as much as you can, and keep doing what you're doing. Moving on with the next case. Now, Jamie, you're asking me to help you find somebody that could do a floral sleeve, and I'm going to ask you to travel a little ways. Head up to Denver, Colorado, because this is Jessie Super. She is working at Soul Tribe Tattoo and Body Piercing. You can find them at soultribetattoo.com. Please go check them out. Right off the bat, I wanted to showcase this one because of the lines. Just beautiful, straight, clean lines. Altogether, it's just a neat piece that she designed, and a weird abstract piece, but I just enjoy every bit of it. This speckling she did in here, make no mistake, this is very difficult for artists to do. It's very time-consuming, and it's very easy for your stencil to rub off as you're working, and if that happens, you're basically screwed. So for her to do that and do it so cleanly just shows how dedicated and disciplined of an artist she is. Now, this one right here, ladies and gentlemen, this is brilliant. Look at this. I know, it's just some corn, but she made some incredibly smart artistic choices here. This black edging that she did, the black outlining on the outside of the husk, that makes it look very clean, very smooth, but then when you zoom in on these kernels, she didn't outline each one of these. She could have took the easy route and kind of outlined each one of them. No, she went in there probably with a tiny round shader, tiny mag, and filled each one of these in. Each one of these kernels has 2 or 3 colors each. So you can imagine, she took her time here, and this just shows some incredible patience, some dedication, and it definitely shows her skill. The reason I wanted to show this one is because this is just a simple small piece, right? And you might not think much of it. It's not a sleeve, it's not a back piece, but the reason I showcase this is because look at the attention to detail she put into something so simple and small. She could have easily cheaped out on this, took the easy route, charged the same amount of money, but no, she goes the extra mile. This two-tone that she did, this 3D stone look, just these tiny little etches in here, the thin color lining that she did in these areas, and she did that on just a standalone small piece. This guy was probably a walk-in. He probably came in off the street, and she still gave him the attention to detail and the time it deserved. And moving on, this was just another beautiful one where not only are these round edges very smooth, very round, the line work very crisp, very clean, but again with this backdrop, she had to come in here with a really, really small needle set, color the blue in between the snowflakes first, and then she filled in the white. That's very time consuming. That's a lot of effort put in on her part, and again, it's not for a sleeve piece or some high paying customer, it's just a normal standalone piece. Beautiful job. Here's some of her flowers. And right off the bat, you can see how crisp, how clean that blending is. It's very hard for us artists to blend yellows out, because if you think about it, there's not really a dark yellow. You can't go from dark yellow to light yellow. And she found a way, though, to still create these shadows in here without muddying up her yellow, and I think she did a great job of it. I love this clean outer edging style that she does with no outline in the inside. Again, that makes it very feminine, very delicate, and I think most of her female clients are going to appreciate not having bold, heavy lines, or at least a lot of heavy black lines on her. Another one in the same style, she intricately chose where to put the purple and the blue to contrast it well, so that when you zoom out on that piece, it has depth. It really looks like a deep three-dimensional rose on her arm. Side by side with one of Derek's, just for you to compare. Again, the shape of her rose is a lot more realistic. These petals just don't fold over the way that you'd want them to, and the way that a natural rose looks. This looks a lot more natural. Not to tear you down, Derek, I think your work's been progressing incredibly well over the last couple years. I'm sure you've gotten even better since this piece, but this is a good example of designing and planning ahead of time. Jessie Super, I think it's pretty obvious to say, you are approved by me. Go ahead and let these guys know what you think of them. Leave your comments in the comment section below. Who do you think Jamie should get tattooed by? Otherwise, stick around. Case number 2 is coming up. Okay, case number 2 comes from Jason K. out in Minnesota. He writes, "Hey Hack Hunter, I've been wanting to get a fairly large back piece, but I'm moving to Omaha, Nebraska in a few weeks. Omaha? I need help finding an artist that can do new school color work. There's this artist that I've been talking to, and he tells me he specializes in color work. Blah, blah, blah. Can you help me out, brother?" Alright, Jason. I'm gonna help you out. Let's check this guy out. Alright, case number 2. This is the gentleman Jason K. was asking about. His name is Aaron, and he not only works at, but he owns Ouch Tattoo Studios. Not a big fan of that name. I don't know why you'd want to scare people before they even get in the door, but do you, man, do you. Right off the bat, I couldn't find a website related to Ouch Studios, but I did find this on his Facebook. It says that he is an award-winning tattoo artist. He's got 25 years of experience. It also says he's an instructor and a member of the APT, the Alliance of Professional Tattooists. Now, for anybody that doesn't know, the APT has been around for a long time. They promote safe, sanitary tattooing with educated artists. Honestly, though, anybody can be a member. You just have to pay your dues every month, and I believe they make you pass simple tests about sterilization. It's pretty obvious what the right and wrong answers are, and anybody can be a member. I have no way of confirming if he's actually a member, because you have to be a member to know, and I'm not. But let's go ahead and see how his work speaks for itself. Right away, this was the one he was promoting at the top of his page, some of his more recent work, and to be honest, I see errors right away. There's lines that are missing. They don't connect to each other. You get a lot of this color fill-in that looks exactly like this, where he's got obvious patches in there, light spots, and I believe the reason why he's getting that effect and this weird streaking effect is because instead of using a mag, he's using a round shader. Now, the difference for people that aren't tattoo artists, a mag, the needles come in rows, kind of like it looks like a paintbrush, so that you can create nice soft fades from one color to the other. Now, a round shader is the equivalent of using a Sharpie. It's just bold, thick, round needle sets, and this is what you get when you try to whip out blending with a round shader. You get this sort of odd streaking. And something tells me if he used rounds on all of this, this is probably something we're going to see a lot throughout his portfolio. Again, I'm not sure what's going on here, Aaron. This does not show 25 years of experience, if I'm being honest. This was meant to be an octopus inside a sort of antique mirror, but zooming in, we can see that this sort of design around the outside is definitely not symmetrical, far from it. This part comes to a point, this part's rounded, just very obvious mistakes with the line work here. Again, this part is sort of looped and bent, this part is round, so far from symmetrical. I'm not sure if he was going for that, if he was attempting that, or if maybe his stencil wiped off on him accidentally and he just didn't know the pattern, but very, very inconsistent. This was something I found of his that at first glance looked pretty good. But then again, we zoom in and you see the same thing. He was trying to shade with like a liner type needle set here. You get this etchiness when you do that, Aaron. You gotta switch to mags. You gotta be willing to try new things, man, because these round shaders, they're not blending well for you, and they're causing a lot of this sort of patchiness where it doesn't look like solid color fill where it's supposed to be. Jason, you were asking about large pieces. This is one of his large pieces, more recent ones that I found. And right away, some errors that I want to point out. He tried to create this shadow underneath the dragon here. We refer to it as a drop shadow. That way it'll look like the dragon's hovering over his skin. You'd see the shadow on the skin. Unfortunately, again, he used a round shader here, and it just chewed up the skin. Now, I might be wrong. Maybe he is using a mag to do this, but to me, this looks like he definitely is just beating up the skin too much with a round, and he's not getting a nice soft edge either, because rounds aren't really made for that. I know a lot of artists can use them that way, but unless you are somebody who's got a lot of experience using them and have perfected it, this is the outcome. Here's the backside to that same dragon. Not looking much better. Just not. We see a lot of dots in the line work, and that's really easily explainable. He started to draw a line. He stopped there, he went over here to dip in some ink, and then he came back and he started right there again. And the problem with that is everywhere where you pause for an extra second, you get a dot. So when you're running lines, you have to hit the ground running. You have to be moving and then insert the needle right where you need it. You can't just insert the needle, then move. Otherwise, you get a dot. And this is about the extent of his backwork that I saw. It doesn't get much better. This was one of the better pieces. You know, solid blue color. It's solid, especially for a hand. That's difficult to get that solid blue in there. Unfortunately, again, he's shading with a round needle set, and it comes out pretty etchy like that. But that blue looks really solid. This gray in the background, again, he's trying to shade with the round needle set, and this is what it looks like. It looks really weird and blotchy, as opposed to looking like smooth and soft faded. I imagine this person probably asked him for some skulls that sort of hidden in the smoke in the background, and this was sort of the best he could do, either artistically or just in terms of application. That was the best he could do. So I think it's pretty obvious from my point of view. Aaron, I don't think I would be getting tattooed by any day soon, but everybody watching, go ahead and put a comment down below. Let him know if you get tattooed by him. Let him know what you think of his artwork, and we'll move on, and I'll show you guys in Omaha, Nebraska, who I think you should be getting tattooed by. Now, Jason, if you're looking for somebody to start a large back piece, a new school color back piece, this is the guy. His name is Dominic Holmes, and he works at Big Brain Productions. Big Brain has been around for a long time. They got a lot of amazing artists that have worked there over the years. One of their owners was even featured in a season of Ink Master and did incredibly well on the show. Some of his work, right off the bat, I want to show you this one because it shows some healed work. The bottom half here, Zeus's face is fully healed. So that lets you know that this is not like going to heal and maybe look good or bad. This is how it heals. This is how it's going to look the rest of this dude's life. As long as he's not going to the beach every day, every summer, this is going to look like this the rest of his life. This white is going to stay this bright white the rest of his life. And that just shows some real application skill. He knows what he's doing here. I love this effect. The forehead wrinkles going up into the Colosseum pillars. I just love that effect. He did a great job blending the two. This is a standalone piece. I wanted to show everybody this piece because if you really zoom in, look at these particle effects he did on the outside here. Really took the time to put these tiny little particles in there, just because when you zoom out, you really get that sort of dissipated, breaking apart effect. And I think it was worth it when you really look close. You can just see just incredible attention to detail. And there's one simple reason I wanted to show this piece. Not only the color saturation, that's beautiful, the design looks great, well placed, but it's this little bead right here. That is just mind-blowing to me. There are 4 different colors in that little bead. That's the kind of artist you want working on you. Somebody who cares so much about one little bead that they're going to take the time to make 4 little colors packed in there to give it that nice round effect when you zoom out. That's just unbelievable. That's the kind of tattoo artist you want. Now, Jason, you were asking about back pieces, and here's one beautifully done by Dominic. Some things to look for. First off, this bomb in the background makes it so that you want that light from the explosion to glare on everyone that light would glare onto. Now, that being said, for all you non-tattooers out there, we have to go darkest to lightest, right? Which means he did this yellow last. So all these other things that he put in here, he had to intentionally stop coloring the red right there, knowing that he had to leave room for that yellow. And he did that throughout the entire tattoo. That just shows the foresight that he has. He planned this ahead beautifully. He knew exactly what he was doing. He knew exactly how he wanted that color effect to happen. And one thing to point out is I guarantee this customer did not come in and ask for a zombie Uncle Sam with some purple in it, right? Or lavender. He didn't ask for that. But if you look close, if you're paying attention, these low lights are lavender. They're purple. It glares off the fingers there, the underside of the arm, even some on the underside of the hat. And that's just an amazing ability to plan ahead and know what you're doing. It also shows his intelligence when it comes to color theory. The client's not going to complain that there's purple in there, you know, because it contrasts this green that's on top of his hands, the green that's in his face, all that. The purple is on the opposite end of the color wheel, and so that's going to make it pop out, make it stand out the way you want it to. Here's another great example of his color theory at use. A reason for showing this one is the saturation. You don't see any patchiness, any blotchiness, no scabs, no scarring. This tattoo was just done, and there's just a faint amount of redness around the outside. Lets you know it's going to heal like that. It's going to heal beautifully. This is one of my favorites. I couldn't wait to show this one off. When you're talking about new school work, this is sort of the epitome of new school work. Just beautifully done. He used bold line weights as well as thin line weights in there, and he meticulously chose where he's going to put them. Again, he used this green in the foreground, this sort of ochre and green color, and the teal in the background, but just had these little low lights of lavender and purple in key places that just make it stand out. And it's not until you really zoom in that you can really appreciate how he had to choose each and every little placement of where to put little dabs of color that when you zoom out makes it look like a super 3D popping out at you effect. Dominic Holmes, without a doubt, Hack Hunter approved. Everybody in the comments, let us know what you think of Dominic. Would you get tattooed by him? Moving on, case number 3 coming up. Moving on to case number 3, I got a message from Nick in Boise, Idaho. Dear Hack Hunter, I'm looking for an artist that can do some freehand work for me. Okay, I have parts of my sleeve already done, and I need an artist that can fill in the rest. Now, my dad has a friend that's been tattooing for a really long time that he's pushing me to go see, but I'm pretty sure he would just make it worse. Trust me, you'll see what I mean. Let me know who you'd recommend I go to. Now, Nick sent me a picture of his sleeve so far, and he's right. He needs an artist to fill in some of the empty gaps that are left over. This is something I've seen a lot in my career, because artists will often just start a sleeve and just randomly place tattoos on your arm for you, but they don't really have a plan for how it's supposed to look in the end. So take it from me, if you're planning to get a sleeve, have the artist design the entire thing first. Don't cheap out. Don't just piece it together a little at a time or get random tattoos here and there and then later hope it'll be a sleeve. You're going to be in the same boat as Nick. Moving on though, let's check out his dad's buddy's work. Alright, this is who Nick's dad is referring him to. This guy's name is Leonard, aka Boo, and he owns Boo's Tattoos in Boise, Idaho. They did not have a website, they just have a Facebook, so this is all I can show you guys, but Facebook at Boo's Tattoo Boise, and you can check him out. Here is some of his work. Now, this doesn't say a lot. This doesn't say a lot. Again, I'm seeing some really rough colors. They're not vibrant, they're not bright. Some of this real wonky line work, I can't imagine many females would be excited to have these kind of patchy flowers on them. This one right here is some of the worst work I found. This gypsy girl, again, the coloring is not solid in areas. The line work very, very shaky, especially along the chin here. Look at that, rough. You could tell he went over it a couple of times trying to smooth it out. It just made it worse. The hair just kind of has this look of some Swiss cake rolls. There's a lack of lines, a real clear definition. It's just solid black, muddy. This is some, that's hard. That is hard. Here's some of the flowers. I'm not sure why each one has a circle on it, if this was some sort of abstract design. Again, this blue, it's just dark and sort of patchy. I want to point something out to people. Whenever you see something where it's really glossy, now I know a lot of photos have glare in them. What I'm talking is the skin's actually glossy. That shows that it's overworked. That this tattoo is still healing. I don't know how long it's been healing, but this glossy effect is gonna be there for quite some time. And it's undesirable effect. Sometimes artists can't avoid it. It depends on your skin type. But unfortunately for Boo, we see that in a lot of his tattoos. That's a type of scarring, and it's gonna take a while for it to heal. Again, really shaky line work. Very, very shaky line work. I'm not sure why he chose to just do such simple light grays in this one. Perhaps they were gonna do another sitting on this one. Not sure, but yeah, it looks a little rough. Some of these lines aren't even solid. They're just really kind of light gray and etched in there, and it's hard to know how that's going to heal. It's definitely not going to hold up over time. Now, this one I just had to show. I know that this is a cover-up. I can see some of what they were trying to cover up in here. It has a little bit of blue ink underneath that black, so I can tell they were trying to cover something up. but these are not wings. This is not what wings are supposed to look like. I feel genuinely bad for this person. I know they're supposed to be symmetrical too, like the same on both sides, but you can tell some of these feathers just got lost in this darkness in here. You can't see any real definition or anything clean in there. That is hard to look at, if I'm being honest. I'm sorry to the person watching that, but boo, you could do better than this, man. This is rough. I know you've been in this industry a really long time, but if you've been doing it like this for that long, man, you need somebody to help you. You need some help from a fellow artist that can help you improve. Again, with the shaky lines. This is the number one thing I see, boo. Shaky lines, over and over and over again. I feel bad for Cheryl here. She says, I love my tattoo. Boo is awesome. He's a great artist. And somebody here laughed at that. And it's already bad enough. Whoever it is laughed at her. It's already bad enough she's got to wear this. And Cheryl, of course, is confused. What's so funny? But I think most people look at that. They can see this is very, very shaky work. And I'm sorry to say, but he probably should not be tattooing until he can figure out how to create a less shaky line. Now, I want to give him a little redemption because look at this artwork. This is back from 2013, I believe, but still, look at his artwork. This is on paper. This is beautiful. This is great artwork. I would wear this on me. This is incredible. And he's got a lot of examples of this great artwork in here. So the guy knows what he's doing. He's an artist, and he knows where to put the color, and he knows how to do smooth lines. I just don't understand why, you know, here it is 7 years later, and the artwork on skin is just looking real rough. But this is some good artwork on paper, so he's definitely an artist in my book. He knows what he's doing, just when it comes to tattoo application, something doesn't translate well. This was one of my favorites from him. That's cool art. That's really cool art, and that would definitely translate to a tattoo well. But something's wrong when it comes to the application process. Something's not right. Boo, I'm sorry to say, man, I would be passing. I wouldn't be getting tattooed by you. Everybody go ahead and put down in the comments, what do you think? Should he still be tattooing? Would you get some tattoos by him? Otherwise, Nick, stick around. Let me show you who I want you to go to. Now, everybody in Boise, Idaho should know this tattoo artist named Darcy Nutt. She is working at Chalice Tattoo Studio. You can find them at chalicetattoo.com. And let me show you what a brilliant freehand artist looks like. First off, you know I had to show this one, but for why? The main reason is because this skin toner here. For all you non-tattooers, this is really difficult. When we apply skin toner, you have to imagine your skin is bleeding that whole time. And so this color immediately turns into red blood. And it's very hard for us to tell if it's applied solidly or if we need to go over areas or anything. She applies it so seamlessly. Very solid use of a skin toner in here. And not to mention the artwork is just incredible. This is a custom piece. This isn't traced. She didn't find this online and just copy it. This is her own artwork. And you're going to see a lot more of this from her. This little frog piece, I love this one. I love the use of black in the background with a color foreground. That's really smart, intelligent artwork. This frog is just beautiful. She used like 3 or 4 different tones of greens, and it just shows. It just shows. It's so beautiful. Her color blending, here's an example on one of the leaves. This sort of soft earth tone yellow to a light green. Very seamless, very smooth. And it's throughout. Very, very clean lines, very intentional. Now, the main reason I want to show this, obviously this is a beautiful piece, nobody could argue that, but this is freehand work. She drew this on 100% just with pens, skin pens, markers, whatever she uses. She drew this on this guy to purposely fit this shape of the body, and it's just phenomenal. This yellow in here, undeniably difficult to apply. She gets it so perfectly saturated. You don't see any light spots in there at all. And yellow is, again, one of those colors where it starts bleeding the second we start applying it, and it no longer looks yellow. It starts to look reddish orange, and it's hard for us to tell if it's applied properly. But she definitely did an incredible job. All that red is just so smooth. So smoothly blended. Another difficult thing for artists is this black to orange blend. She does it seamlessly. Very smooth black to orange blending there. And the lines, no complaints there. Very solid medium line weights. And just not a hiccup in the whole piece. So, Nick, if you're looking for a freehander, she's definitely the one. This piece, the reason I wanted to showcase this of hers is, again, because of the lines. Look at the comparison of both sides of the face here. Very smooth banking line right here. And it looks incredibly symmetrical. Now imagine that. I believe this is on a guy's shoulder blade. I'm not sure. But these tiny thin lines are just perfect throughout this whole piece. And again, with the coloring, look at these neat little glare effects she puts in the feet there. Small little touches make this thing look a lot more round and 3D. and the attention to detail is just phenomenal. Her choice of colors, the purple in the background with the teal in the foreground, teal and the red, it just contrasts beautifully. You can tell she definitely knows what she's doing with color, and her line work is just non-contested. It's just incredible to use such a thin liner. And you can imagine if that client just, is breathing the whole time, just that little bit of movement, and still you don't see any hiccups in these little thin lines. That's just incredible. For all you looking for black and gray work, I just wanted to showcase she also knows what she's doing and blends grays very beautifully. You can see it goes from pitch black to dark gray to medium gray to light gray, and it does it so seamlessly. That's not one tone of gray just whipped out there. She blended multiple tones to get this really beautiful depth that you see in here. Nice, tight, thin lines again. Perfectly round circle as she intended them to be. Doesn't get much better than that, guys. Darcy Nutt, obviously, Hack Hunter approved. Guys, leave her a message down below in the comments. What do you think of Darcy's work? Would you get tattooed by her? Let me know what you think. Thanks so much for tuning into this episode. Come back next week. Hit that subscribe button so you'll know the second a new one pops up. And feel free to email us if you're looking for an artist in your area and you need some help at thehackhunters@gmail.com. Thanks so much. We'll see you next week.